Hi guys, it's Ray here. Hope you're fitting well. In a moment I'm going to give you 3 tips that is really going to help your goalkeeping coaching, guys. Seriously, what I'm going to be telling you now, as long as you implement it, will have goalkeeping students in your area driving themselves towards you than any other goalkeeping coach in your area, seriously. And also, before I give you those tips, guys, if this video was looking a bit grainy, I do apologise. I'm still travelling, so for you guys that have been following me, I do travel extensively with my goalkeeping coaching, so I'm just shooting this video off my laptop, and the light is not the best, so I do apologise if the video is a bit grainy, like I said. But hey, it's all about the information, isn't it? So again, before I give you the tips, guys, you'll hear me say this a few times. Please don't be one of these goalkeeping coaches that think it's about your training session looking the part. I see some goalkeeping coaches, and when you look at their training session, it's more like a circus. It's like there's just so much going on. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, by the way. There's a time and a place to do that. Remember, your sessions, your training as a goalkeeping coach, it's about the results for your students, not about how your training session looks, okay? Please don't be falling into this trap. I don't even bother going on YouTube now because I see these other goalkeeping coaches. I'm not saying it's bad, by the way, okay? Yeah, I'd never disrespect any goalkeeping coach. But again, you can see they're all competing with each other now. Someone brings out an apparatus, then someone brings out a bigger apparatus, and it just gets a bit, I think what happens there, guys, it takes away from the important fact. It's a goalkeeping coach. You're there to teach the core basics and values and the techniques, the foundations of your students, sorry. So again, when you see my training sessions, guys, you'll notice that it's just like a bag and a ball and some cones, okay? Because to me, when you've got too much going on, as a goalkeeping coach, you're getting dragged away from the fact that what you should be doing as a goalkeeping coach is teaching your goalkeeping students the core techniques, the core foundation to become the best goalkeeper that they can be. And again, you've heard this saying before, guys. If you build a house on sand, it's eventually going to fall down. And unfortunately, a lot of goalkeeping coaches, that's what they're doing. Their training sessions are built on sand, where my training sessions are built on a solid base, which means that my goalkeeping students get a solid base of a foundation of their techniques, and that allows them obviously to build a strong base and to be a sustainable goalkeeper for many years. And again, as I say, guys, even though my training sessions do look basic, without sounding arrogant, my success speaks for itself with literally the thousands of goalkeepers that have helped achieve their dreams over the years, okay? Yeah, so please don't get, suckered into, it's all about your training session looking good. And again, I'm not saying it's bad. There's a time and a place to do that, guys, okay? Yeah, remember your main goal, pardon the pun, as a goalkeeping coach, okay, yeah, is obviously just to help your goalkeeper, with their techniques and become the best goalkeeper that they can be. Okay, so go on to these 3 tips now, guys, okay, yeah. Now, again, when I tell them, you might go, oh, Ray, that's really basic, or oh, Ray, or some of you might think, oh my God, how basic is that? I've never even thought of that. But even if you do know what these 3 tips I'm going to tell you now, it's actually quite difficult to implement when you're training your goalkeepers. And the most important thing, it's got to be natural, guys, okay, yeah. Now, when I first started doing this as a goalkeeping coach, I didn't realise these 3 tips, what I'm going to give you, how it's going to have an impact on me as a goalkeeping coach, and also obviously my goalkeeping students. So, as I say, I didn't realise it wasn't until I was coaching for years and years, and I look back in hindsight and I was thinking, why have I had so much success with my students? It's not because my sessions are technically fantastic, but I think it's one of the main reasons is I get the best out of my students through these 3 words I'm going to tell you now. The first one, again, it might sound really obvious, guys, is have fun, okay, seriously. Now, again, it's having fun in your sessions, but you've still got to take it seriously as well, okay, because a lot of goalkeeping coaches, they either have too much fun, okay, and then what happens then is the students are not going to listen to them because you're just having too much fun and you're getting away from the core things that you need to teach, or they're too serious. And I promise you, guys, if you're a goalkeeping coach who is all about them, it's all about you as a goalkeeping coach, you've got a big ego, I promise you won't be around long, seriously. As I say, so try not to be an egotistical coach because, as I say, mums and dads and goalkeepers don't want to be taught by an egotistical coach. So you've got to find somewhere in the middle, guys, okay, where you're having fun in your sessions, but it's serious enough that your students know, hey, there's a fine line they can't go past, and also as well that they're developing their techniques. Now, the reason why you want it to be fun, guys, okay, yeah, if you're, and again, one, as a coach, it needs to be fun. You need to enjoy yourself, okay? Yeah. One of the reasons why I put fun into my sessions is because I wanted to have fun. For me, it was pointless me, being away from my family and coaching if I wasn't enjoying myself. So I wanted to have fun, but keep that fine line. Whereas I say, yeah, you're having fun, but hey, listen, we're serious here. We're here to develop your goalkeeping skills. But what happens is when you put your students in a fun environment, they relax. That's the reason why, and again, it wasn't for years later, I realised by having fun, it relaxes your students, okay? So they'll feel more freely to come and speak to you as a coach, because if you're an egotistical coach, as we all know, guys, as students, especially the younger students, they're not going to approach an egotistical coach in fear of what they might say to them. But if your student knows that you're approachable, and by having fun, automatically, like, wow, my coach is approachable, they'll come up to you and say, hey, coach, and they'll ask you questions, that you might not see as a coach, and you can obviously help them with that question as well. And I say they'll come out of the shell a lot more as well. They won't be afraid to make a mistake again. If you're getting, put yourself as a student, guys. Remember when we were kids ourselves. If you had an egotistical coach and you made a mistake in front of that coach, you'd be like, oh my goodness me, I'm not going to do that again, because you're going to get told off. But if you know your coach, doesn't care if you make a mistake, as long as obviously you learn from your mistakes, you still want to keep trying and trying and trying. So it doesn't matter how many. So when I coach my students, it didn't matter how many mistakes they made. They never felt intimidated, because they know, I've seen my students, the ball went through their legs, they got megged, and the first thing they'd do is I'd laugh, I go, hey, Megs, I'd shout Megs at them, and I go, hey, and then obviously I'd teach what they did wrong. But the point I'm trying to say here, guys, when you're having fun, your students will see you as approachable, so they'll come and ask you more questions, and they won't feel scared to make mistakes, okay? Because if they're scared to make a mistake, they're going to get stuck in the rut and they won't try it again. But with my students, okay, they'll keep trying and trying and trying and trying and trying until they get it, because they know with me, I don't care how many times they make a mistake, as long as they keep trying and they eventually put it right. So having fun in your session is really, really, really important, okay? Second tip as well is call students by their names. I know it sounds incredibly obvious, guys, but you'd be absolutely gobsmacked the amount of coaches that still, and I think this is the biggest insult in the world, by the way. If a student, doesn't matter how old they are, if they're coming to you for help and advice, if you don't know their name, that's an insult, to be honest with you. You should know every one of your students' names. Now, before I emigrated, I in my hometown of Liverpool, England, I had nearly 400 students that I coached on a weekly basis. I knew every one of my students' names. I knew the parents' names. If they had brothers and sisters that used to come and watch, I used to know their names as well. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm not good at names. Get good at names, okay? And there's certain drills that you can do to help you remember names. Maybe I'll do that in another video if I get enough people asking me. But get to know the students' names. It's so important. Reason being, as I say, one, as a coach, you should know their names. To me, again, I've watched many goalkeeping coaches and outfield coaches who've had the same team or set of students for several weeks or several months, and they're still shouting to their students, hey, go over there. They don't even know the name after a few months. That's a disgrace. If I was a parent and I seen a coach not know my child's name after a few sessions, I would never take my child there back again. Because me, as a parent or even as a student, that coach doesn't care. Because if they don't, and they're right, if a coach doesn't know their student's name, they don't care. Okay, so show your students you care by knowing the names. It's very, very important. Okay, yeah. And I'll give you an example why it's important that you know the names as well. It's like, especially when you're doing a lot of training. Sometimes, one of your students will have their back to you, and they might do something fantastic. They might make a great save, and if you just say, "Hey, great save," and you turn around, and your student turns around to you, and they go out, my coach wasn't speaking to me. But if you say, hey, what a save, David, what a save, even though the student's back's to you, they know that you've recognised them by shouting their name. And these thousands of times I've done that, where I've gone, David, what a save, or John, that is an amazing catch. And I've seen my students' shoulders just lift because of that encouragement. By giving them encouragement and putting their name to it, makes them feel 1,000 foot tall. And with the greatest respect, most young children are probably not getting that type of, confidence at home. Okay, so if just by giving their name, just by letting your students know, hey, I remember your name, will really, really help you as a goalkeeping coach. It's something that you should be doing anyway, full stop. But also as well, your students will feel a lot more. They'll feel a lot more important because you know their name, if that makes sense. And there's no excuse whatsoever, guys, okay? I don't care if you say, oh, well, there's 20 students in my class, or I'm not good at remembering names. Bullshit, okay? Yeah, as I say, like anything in life, you can get good at it, okay? But you've got to be natural. You've got to naturally want to know your, and be genuine and know your student's name. And I've already mentioned the third tip already, okay? That's make your students feel 1,000 foot tall. Again, most young children are not getting encouragement in their home. They're certainly not getting it in schools, okay, yeah? So as a coach, as a goalkeeping coach, we're there to obviously develop the goalkeeping skills, but I believe as goalkeeping coaches, we're there for much more. We're their children's coach, we're their mentor, we're their friend. And to me, whenever a student comes to me, I want to help them become a better goalkeeper, but to me, I want them to leave mentally stronger, having had their time with me, whether they're with me for a month or for 10 years. I want them to go away a better, mentally stronger person, because that will help them in life. So it's important that you really, really encourage your students. And again, if you put a name to it, like tip number 2, so instead of just saying, hey, great save or great kick, go, hey, Philip, that is an amazing save, well done, son. Or, hey, Pam, that is fantastic, well done, young lady, that is an amazing save or amazing catch. Really, really important, guys. Just want to go over the 3 tips again, guys. 1, make it fun, okay, for the reasons I've said. 2, make sure that you call every one of your student by their first name. You do not want a student to be with you for weeks and weeks and you still don't know their name. That's a disgrace, guys, okay, yeah? And you're basically telling your students you don't care about them. And the 3rd tip as well is make them feel 1,000 foot tall, but you've got to be genuine with it, okay? Don't be encouraging or giving a good word to, or giving a good compliment to one of your students if they don't deserve it, because what will happen then is, when you have done something good, they'll be thinking, are you just saying that, or did I do actually something good? Okay, so only compliment them, obviously, when they've done something fantastic. If they've not done something fantastic, don't mock them. Go in and obviously say, hey, listen, this is what you should have done to put it right. I assure you, I know it sounds basic, okay, guys, yeah, but I think this is one of the main reasons that's put me head and shoulders above other goalkeeping coaches who've competed with me over the years, is because I know coaches say, oh, I sincerely, care for my students. Now, there's one thing saying that, okay, but there's another way of proving it to your students, because a lot of goalkeeping coaches do really care for their students. They really, really do care. But if you've not got the ability to let your students know that you do care for them, they won't know that you care, if that makes sense, okay? So there's no point saying, I really care for my students, because I know 95%, I've been coaching for years, guys. I've met thousands of goalkeeping coaches, and thankfully there's only the minority that have got the big egos and it's all about themselves. 95% of goalkeeping coaches, they're great guys and they really want to help their students, become the best goalkeeper that they can be. But you've got to let your students know that you care for them, if that makes sense. And you can only do that by actions, okay? You've got to do it consistently. So maybe tip number 4 is be consistent, okay? You've got to do it every single week, every session, every minute. Okay, so again, as I say, I'm going to say it again, guys. Number 1, have your sessions, have it fun, but have that fine line that it's serious. Okay, yeah, because if it's fun, your students will open up, they'll speak to you, and if they make a mistake, they're not really, they're not going to be scared, if that makes sense, which means they'll continue to keep obviously trying if they make mistakes. Number 2 is always, to me, this is the most important one, okay, and number 3, actually, make sure that you know your students by name and you call them by name every second, every chance that you get. 3rd tip is make them feel 1,000 foot tall, and if you can bring their name into play at the same time, even better. You know yourself as adults, guys, okay? When someone encourages ourselves as adults, I don't care what you say, guys, okay? Even if you're a super confident person, it's a great feeling when someone says, even to me, you know what I mean? It's, someone will go, hey, Ray, that was fantastic, that. I'll go, oh, okay, cool. I'll try and play it cool, but deep inside, I'm like, oh, wow, cool, because it's great to be recognised. As an adult, we want to be recognised, guys, okay? So imagine, especially if you're coaching young children, mention their name and give them encouragement. I assure you, as I say, reputation as a goalkeeping coach will just grow and grow and grow, and be consistent with it. And maybe tip number 5 as well, guys, and this is the most important one: you've got to be genuine. Okay, yeah. If you're doing it, as I say, to try and trick anyone, or trying to try to be false, I promise you, your students and your especially parents of students as well, they'll eventually see through you, and quite rightly, people will just walk away and leave you. You've got to be genuine, whether you coach in your own business and you need an income, because even if you're doing it coaching for an income, mums and dads and goalkeepers know you've got to pay your way. So don't be embarrassed about charging for your services, okay? You can still be genuine and want to help people. Even if you're coaching at a football club or a soccer club, again, you've got to be genuine. I can't stress enough, guys, you've got to be genuine, because if you're not genuine, forget about it, okay? Yeah, forget about it. So again, hope those tips help, guys, okay? Yeah, you might think, okay, they're incredibly basic, or you might think, oh my God, Ray, you know what, they're that basic, I never even thought about it. Again, the key is, even though you might, even though that I've told you the tips, guys, okay, yeah, it's one thing knowing them, and it's the other thing putting it into practice. It does take practice, okay, guys, okay? So because the basic, don't think you're going to get it straight away. I promise you, guys, it will take you weeks, months and years to master. I've been doing it for 20 years, guys, and I'm still mastering, obviously, what I've told you in this video here today. But it's not a race, it's a marathon. As long as you're doing it genuine, guys, as long as you sincerely, are giving that encouragement to your students because you genuinely want to help them, as long as you're genuinely having fun because you want people to approach you, and you want your students to feel comfortable in your sessions, okay? I promise you, guys, okay, it will help. And again, I know that some of the doubters will go, oh, it's all, no, Ray, nonsense. It's all about how I do my sessions. I promise you, guys, I've been doing this for many, many years. That's the type of goalkeeping coach that will go, nonsense. It's about how I do my sessions, the techniques. It's not about the people side of things. Guys, you're the ones that fail. Full stop. Okay. Yeah, I promise you. The coaches that think it's all about them and their sessions and the drills, I assure you, you will eventually fizzle away. The goalkeeping coaches that are there for the reasons that I've just said, I'll say the goalkeeping coaches that are there for their students, they bring a people side of things to the business. They bring a bit of humanity side to their goalkeeping coaches. They're the goalkeeping coaches who have the greatest success. They're the goalkeeping coaches that are coaching for 10, 20, 30 years, guys, okay, yeah. Remember, we're dealing with human beings, okay? You've got to treat, obviously, your students and even parents of students as well. Maybe I'll do another video on this as well. You've got to teach your parents. You've also got to speak to your parents of students with respect as well, because how many goalkeeping coaches, sort of shun away the parents? You can't do that, guys, okay? But maybe I'll do another video on that. Okay, so I'm going to finish now. Please don't think your goalkeeping sessions are about you. Your goalkeeping sessions, guys, it's about your students. It's about having an interaction with your students. It's about your students feeling comfortable with yourself, because if your students trust you and feel comfortable with you, I assure you, you will get the best out of your students. Full stop. Okay, I've waffled on a bit there, guys. For you guys that know me, my hobby's talking, so this should have been a 5-minute video, so 20 minutes on. As I say, yeah, I just want to give value to you guys, okay? So I hope that helps. All the best. Have a good day. Any questions, put them below and I'll answer them. Okay, catch you later.